So I read this book and it instantly became one of my top 5 Batman stories ever. Today, we are talking about Batman Ego. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. And this is another episode of Retro Reviews, where I take a trade paperback or a graphic novel off of my shelf. I actually read it for the first time. Usually it's a story that's been out for a while, so it's new to me, probably old to some of you, and I go ahead and review it. Now, if you're interested in comic book reviews, unboxings, overviews, all the above, you should definitely hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell icon so that you're notified when new videos come out. So, sometime in 2022, we are getting a brand new Batman movie. We are returning to Gotham for like the 9th time since 1989, but this time we've got a whole new vision for the character as basically architected by Matt Reeves, and it's going to be played by Robert Pattinson. Now, when asked about the inspiration for this film, there were a few stories that came to mind. One was Batman Year One, another was Batman The Long Halloween, and another was Batman Ego. So, out of those stories, there's only one that I hadn't read before last week, and that was Batman Ego. So when I read this article a few months ago, I went ahead and ordered the deluxe edition. It's called Batman Ego and Other Tales. It's written and drawn by Darwyn Cooke, and this includes Batman Ego and then some other stories that Darwyn Cooke wrote, as well as stories that other people wrote, but Darwyn Cooke just drew. Now, if you're not familiar, Darwyn Cooke was an artist for DC Comics. Before then, he did some work in animation, most notably on Batman the Animated Series, before moving into actual comics work at DC Comics. He wrote Justice League: The New Frontier, he wrote Batman Ego, he wrote Catwoman, Selina's Big Score, and a host of other stories before his untimely passing in 2016 from lung cancer. He was only 53 years old when he passed, but like I said, he leaves behind a bunch of great work. And this collection called Batman Ego and Other Tales is definitely something that you should pick up because it has some of the best of Darwyn Cooke's work at DC Comics, particularly as it relates to Batman and other Gotham-based characters. Now, Batman Ego was originally a prestige format, one-shot original graphic novel. And it came out, it's about 80 pages long, and it's honestly just a great book. Now, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the plot. I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, and then I'll dive into my thoughts and you know, why I think you should pick this up and why it's jumped so high up the top of my Batman or my favorite Batman stories list. So, Batman Ego really centers on one night in the life of Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. Now, in the story, it is said that Bruce Wayne has been fighting crime in Gotham as Batman for 3 years. So it's set directly in continuity. I would say Batman Year One, then The Long Halloween, and then a little bit more time passes and then this, right? So at this point, Dick Grayson is already in place as the first Robin, and Batman's been fighting crime for a while now. Now, this book really does a lot to open us up to the psychology of Batman. So the book starts out with Batman chasing a bad guy, a henchman, you know, someone he's probably going to try to get some information out of. He's got to figure out what's going on, where's the Joker. Now, Batman catches up to this dude, but he realizes this dude is about to jump off a bridge. He's about to commit suicide. So it goes from Batman trying to apprehend this criminal to Batman trying to save the criminal from suicide. He is successful, much to the chagrin of the henchman. And so the henchman says something to him that says something to Batman that forces him to confront this age-old question. What have I done? Am I good for Gotham? Is me being here causing more trouble than it's worth? Can I really keep my vow to my parents if my presence invites such catastrophe, right? And so the situation and what this henchman says to Batman really puts him in an intense state of grief. And it's through this grief that the night unfolds. And Batman is visited, seemingly in a dream by, the most dark and evil and twisted version of himself. And in this story, Batman has to face his demons in order to move forward. And this story changes the way that Batman and Bruce Wayne will act forever. Now, I can't really talk about this story without highlighting how excellent the artwork is. Now, as someone who grew up on Batman the Animated Series, I love when a story throws back to that animated series vibe, the Art Deco, the Art Noir, the noir, film noir. I just love the gritty, the texture, the muted colors. Like, I love it all. I love when Batman just looks dark and scary. And this book certainly accomplishes that. Now add Darwyn Cooke's soft, animated, cartoonish feel, and it's a match made in heaven. It's everything I love about Batman artwork. Batman looks scary when he needs to. He looks affected when he needs to. And the panel work, like just the actual layouts, the grids, there are things that are placed in sequence that seemingly don't belong, but when you kind of pull back and look at the entire page, it's like, man, Darwyn Cooke put everything where it needed to be on the screen to really be effective. And Darwyn Cooke was just a master in this way. So I love the artwork. The artwork gets a 10 out of 10. But this story informs so much about how Batman moves forward. If you're looking for a story to really highlight the psychology of Batman, how does Batman get the strength that he needs to carry on? How does Batman decide how much Bruce should be in a situation or how much Dark Knight should be in a situation? All of that is really informed here. And I love it because, like I said, it really explains so much behind the character, even though it's just a one-shot 80-page graphic novel. Like, this story does not have any business being as much of a hallmark as it is. This is one of those stories that informs a character forever. And usually when we talk about like role defining stories, right, we talk about Batman Year One, which is a 4-issue series. We talk about The Dark Knight Returns, another 4-issue series. We talk about The Long Halloween, a 12-issue maxi series, right? Most writers, in order to accomplish the lifelong changes to this character, they need way more issues. Darwyn Cooke did it in like 78 pages. That's an accomplishment all in its own. And again, what I love about it is just how much of this really serves to kind of inform who Batman is, inform the reader as to who Batman is and how he works. We're used to seeing Batman being the strong guy. We're used to him being super tough mentally. In Batman R.I.P., we learn that he's like backed up his entire brain in case his mind is ever compromised by trauma, right? Like, someone who has those insane levels of detail attached to their contingency plans and things like that, something has to cause that. And we learn what causes that in Batman Ego. And I think that is why this book is such a seminal Batman story. And any media based on this story is bound to be pretty good. So just off the strength of reading this book, I'm really excited for Matt Reeves' Batman movie. We can call him the Pattinson Batman flick as well, for whatever reason. I love that this story is one of few really good stories that are really going to inform what we've got or what we get out of this film. Now, if you're interested in reading this story, you absolutely should. I think this story is a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, the only reason it's not a perfect 10, I feel like it's just not long enough. Like, there are some things that I think could have been fleshed out a little bit better if he was given a little bit more, you know, of a page count, right? Maybe if this was like a 120-page graphic novel, it'd just be perfect. But the things that leaves to be desired really just make you anticipate and want more, which is great. So I give this book like a 9.5 out of 10. I really loved it. Like I said, it's already jumped to like my top 3 Batman stories. I got to do some serious ranking. Maybe we'll do that in an upcoming episode of The Hangout. Now, if you're interested in this book, there are a couple of ways that you can get it. The deluxe hardcover is still available on Amazon. I'll link to that in the description below. If you don't need a deluxe version of this book, you just want a paperback, but maybe you want some other things to read, DC is actually putting out a box set slipcase featuring Batman Ego and several other stories that inspired the Batman film. So that's coming out later on. I believe it's coming out in January of next year. You can go ahead and pre-order that through our channel sponsor, Organic Price Books, the best place to look for collected editions, trade paperbacks, omnibus, hardcovers, and more. So I'll leave a link to that link where I'll leave a link to the page where you can pre-order that book. And if you use my coupon code BJKicks, you'll save $2 off that order. But like I said, if you want the deluxe edition, the hardcover, that's still available on Amazon. And I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. Now, have you read Batman Ego? Did you love it as much as I did? We can talk shop in the comments. I will warn you guys, if you jump in the comments, there are likely to be spoilers from the people who have already read the book. But if you're down for that, come in the comments and have a conversation with us. Now, if you want to talk comics all the time, then you need to join my private Facebook community. It's called the K Squad, where we talk comics. Now, we do book clubs, we do book reviews, we have art swaps, we have all sorts of great activities designed to engage you, the comic lover. Because I'm a comic lover too, and I love just sharing that with the world. So we're over 460 members strong. We're just waiting for you to join us and add your input to the group as well. I can't wait to see you. The link is in the description below. But until I see you there, I hope you saw something you liked in this video. And if not, hey, that's cool. Because you can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.